Hi everyone, it's Sade Champagne, Lisa Lewalt,
And Casey Dewell.
and we are so excited to be here today filming our first dance inspirational video.
We've all kind of been discussing this idea of overcoming challenges and continuing to keep going forward even though sometimes life gets tough.
So funny enough, I actually came up with this choreography where Lisa and I choreographed this together. I did the verse and she did the chorus, and this is the first song that I choreographed to since I started back dancing 14 months ago. You know, I really want to encourage people. You know, I started dancing when I was young and I danced for many, many years, but I stopped dancing for a while because I was comparing myself to others. I lost my love and my joy of dancing, and I didn't feel that I had the support that I needed. So I literally just started back from square one dancing 14 months ago. I started with 3 minutes a day. And any of you who know me know that I believe in the power of baby steps. And literally through that time, that's really encouraged me to keep going forward, because when it comes to challenges, I feel like, or any type of thing that we could be dealing with in life, especially when it comes to a dream or something that you're passionate about, we oftentimes will only look at the bigger picture, which is good, but sometimes we miss the steps that are right in front of us. And so in those times when I was feeling defeated in the sense of, oh my gosh, it's taking me forever to learn the most basic moves. I'm literally doing 3 minutes a day, and it's like, and in that part wants, you know, that lie wants to come back to you of why you stopped dancing in the first place, or why you stopped going after that dream, and you want to compare yourself to someone like Lisa and Casey, which is not fair because they've been dancing for majority of their lives. And even though I was dancing for, you know, many years before that, it's still not the same amount of time, and we're different people. And so literally through me taking those baby steps one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, I am so glad to be able to be here today and be an encouragement to anybody with the dream that you're never too old and you're never too young. Because, you know, that's another thing. We'll say, oh my gosh, I'm too old to be doing this, da da da. And it's like, no, it's like you're never too old and you're never too young. And we really do believe in the power of a dream and being able to overcome whatever challenges that are your way, one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. Or I wouldn't be here today doing this. And I'm so thankful because I'm excited to see with this video, you know, as we're watching it now, what I'm going to look like and how I'm going to progress in future videos, and how I'm going to look years from now. And I'll be able to look back on this moment and be so thankful that I took that first step again.
So I moved to LA about 3.5 years ago, and I was professionally pursuing dance for the longest time. And then it was probably about 9 months where just trucking, you know, day after day, really getting after it and working a lot. And then I started realizing that it started changing who I was because of the level of the nature of competition and the way that people perceived me, not because of what I could do, not because of who I was or any talent that I had or any hard work that 17 years of training provided me with, but rather the way that I looked or the shape of my body or how I looked in this attire. And that really was like eating at me, and I took it very personally, because obviously if they were saying you're not good enough, it's basically because you don't look good enough and you don't look the part. And then that damaged me mentally a lot, and I started realizing that it wasn't worth sacrificing myself for who I was. And it started changing me, and I had a different demeanor to me, and I was always this bubbly, outgoing dancer who would just bust out in the middle of, you know, a grocery store and not have two cares about it at all and just sing at the top of her lungs. And then that started diminishing, and I didn't have that anymore. And that level of just self-worth just went down for me, and I said it wasn't worth it anymore. And so I actually backed away from professionally pursuing dance, which was my dream, and had been dreaming that all of my life, you know, like growing up, a little girl wants to grow up and be a ballerina, and so she moves and does it, and it's a big deal, and she moves away from her family, and then all of a sudden it's not what it's chalked up to be, and it's hard on you. But it ended up being the best thing that I've ever done in my life, because it caused me to look at myself and see if I liked who I actually was. And I used to believe what other people said that I was. If they thought I was pretty, I thought I was pretty. If they thought I was talented, I thought I was talented. But now I was forced to look at myself and say, Casey, do you believe that you're talented? Do you believe that this is a God-given gift? Do you believe that you're beautiful? Do you believe that you are exactly who you're supposed to be? Or do you feel like you need to change? And once I got solid in believing in who I was, then I was able to start dancing again. And it's hard to go back to something that I trained so long for after stepping away for, gosh, I haven't danced in probably like two years at this point now. And I'm so lucky to have these angels by my side, because they're always encouraging. And I think when it comes to that nature of competition, that sometimes it's great, but sometimes we get lost in, it's key to have people that encourage you more than anything. And if I hadn't had encouragement, I would never dance again, probably. I'd be too afraid.
It was interesting, something she had said too, you know, talking about the it's something about it's never too late for your dreams. And for me, it was kind of this feeling of like, you know, in our industry and even in the music industry, which Sade is more in, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, but you've turned 16 now. You are retiring because as a pop star, you're too old. I legitimately walked into record labels that were like, not now, obviously I am older now, but when I was like 18 and like, oh, I'm sorry, we're only taking, 16 is the oldest that we're taking. And I'm like, but I'm only 18. You know, it was just like this crazy. So for me, it was like just this instilled sense of like, once I turn, you know, at first it was once I'm 25, and then once I was sort of, well, once I'm 30, you know, it gives like, I always had this feeling like I had to give up once I hit this certain age. And the reality of the situation is as you get older, you do have more responsibilities, and I had to learn to adjust and balance things because now I have to take care of certain, you know, responsibilities that I didn't have when I was younger, so that takes some of your time. But it doesn't mean that all of a sudden I quit my dream. And I think that I know a lot of people that I feel like the soul's just been sucked out of them, and they're just so depressed, and they don't have that motivation, they don't have that glow in their eyes because they've hit that point where, you know, it's time for responsibilities, but instead of learning how to balance that, they just completely quit. And you know, there are times in your life, maybe you have a newborn or something, where that is maybe needs to be your full focus, but maybe that's for a period of time. It doesn't have to be forever. And I know some amazing people who are, you know, more my parents' generation, who are still doing what they love, and they are just glowing from the inside out. You know, so I would encourage you guys at home, if there's something that you love to do and maybe you don't have the same time that you had when you were younger, but even if say if you love writing poetry, even if you set a time where once a week for 20 minutes you wrote poetry, I guarantee you that small little spark would come back, and you probably would start doing it more and more, because you should never stop going after the things that you're passionate about, unless you're passionate about crime. Yeah, but in that case, no. But
And it was super powerful because that goes back to right where we started with the power of baby steps. Literally 3 minutes a day. I know everybody has 3 minutes a day that they can dedicate to whatever they're passionate about or whatever they want to move forward in. And I feel like we are all sharing our stories that are different, but they all come together. And it's amazing what Casey was sharing too. You know, you want to make sure too that you're in an environment that's conducive. And that's been on my heart a lot. You want to be in an environment that is conducive to your growth, to your identity, to your dreams. Because a lot of people, especially if you're in an industry within the public eye, they are not in healthy environments. You're in environments where it's only competition, not competition to push others to do better and to bring out the best in them, but competition to prove that you're better than someone else. And I personally don't agree with that type of competition, even though I'm not a competitive person anyways. But like I said, if you're doing it to be able to prove yourself to others, that's not a healthy environment. You want to be in an environment somewhere, at least there's at least one person you can find somewhere who can encourage you, empower you, and lift you up. And I look around, there's tons of people who believe in you and who support you and who are cheering you on.